Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning, visiting with Caleb Nichols, and then very soon Tim Zebarth will be joining us. Caleb is from Grace Church of Greater Akron. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Susie?
Doing great. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
We're real excited to welcome Tim Zebarth from Grace College and Seminary. Okay, both named Grace, and somehow you've merged.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me the history behind this. How'd this happen?
Yeah, so I'm from a church in the Greater Akron area named Grace Church of Greater Akron, and we're in a network of churches, of Grace Brethren churches, and also within our network is the school named Grace College and Seminary out in Winona Lake, Indiana. We've been thinking about starting a Bible school and having like a full-blown biblical studies degree on ground. And so about 18 months ago, I think it was now, we reached out, Grace Church of Greater Akron reached out to Grace College and Seminary, and we began the conversations about starting a Bible school.
I've got to know, did you just Google the word grace and see who do we find?
Yeah, they were in our network. So a lot of our pastors and leaders actually went to Grace College and Seminary and graduated from there. So we have a very close relationship with Grace College and Seminary that we've had for quite a few years now.
And I'm guessing that theologically it's very similar as far as beliefs and core values and so forth.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Grace College and Seminary and also Grace Church of Greater Akron are very, very evangelical and conservative in their doctrine and theology. Yep.
And you believe in grace.
Absolutely. Yep.
I'm guessing.
Yep.
Caleb, this is so interesting. What is your position at the church?
Yeah, well, I actually work for the college. So I'm the director of Grace College Akron. But that's a good question, though, because I worked for the church for the previous 5 years or so in our biblical education department. So you think of Sunday morning classes and things like that. I oversaw a lot of that.
And then somehow you became employed by the college for admissions, or what is your part there?
Well, yeah, so I worked under a guy named Dr. Richard Fisher, who actually worked for Moody Bible Institute for over 30 years. And me and him ran the biblical education department for Grace Church, right? Mm-hmm. And then we started communicating with Grace College and Seminary about starting a school. We were kind of looking around saying who's going to, kind of run this thing locally in the Akron area. And my name came up, and I'm excited to be doing that now in this new kind of adventure with the church and with the college.
I know a little bit about the very founding years, and happy anniversary to them because, let's see, this is March. I know on March 17th, they're going to be celebrating their 125th, but Malone University, and doing lots of research about the founding forefathers of Malone and those first faculty members and those first students. I've learned a little bit about what all goes into getting a school off the ground. Yep. It's massive.
It is.
What have you found? What have you learned?
Yeah, well, it was about Grace College was awesome working through the process. They got it fully, the fully approved program through the state of Ohio in a little less than a year, which really is pretty astounding that they were able to do that.
Let's say that again, because that is huge. Being accredited is very important.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so say that again, how quickly they got that.
It's a rigorous process to work with the state of Ohio. So there's a lot of paperwork you have to submit. They have site visits. We're going to come out and look at your documents and see that you're a real legit school. And Grace College actually got us approved. They're from Indiana, but they got this site approved in Ohio in less than a year, which is pretty amazing. So now we have a fully accredited, fully on ground Bachelor's of Science in Biblical Studies with a ministry leadership emphasis right in Akron, Ohio, at Grace Church of Greater Akron.
For people listening right now saying, oh, this is what I want to do, you need to make sure, we cannot emphasize this enough, that you are spending your hard-earned dollars at a fully accredited institution.
Correct, yep. So you're going to have the same degree that you would have if you went to Indiana and actually sat in the classes at Grace College and lived there. But you can do that at home, and maybe make the commute. If you're coming from the Canton area, for example, you can make the commute up to Akron, take classes, and then go back and, be involved in ministry at your local church. So we're excited about it.
So many things are going online. You were intentional about wanting this to be an on-ground, in-class experience. Why?
Yeah. Well, I think so. Online, it's a great way to learn. There's nothing wrong with it, right? It's a good system. But I think for us, our passion is really to have the students in a classroom working together and getting that time with those those college professors and those local mentors, because just so much happens in the classroom, and we feel like you learn so much better, and you don't. It's not all from lecture. It's also like, what do you learn from the rest of your classmates, right? Mm-hmm. So Yeah, we think it's a big deal.
I think you find, and you probably have already found with past educational experiences that you've offered, that is where a great deal of the learning takes place. Yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, because we say like a lot of things are actually caught more than taught, right? Like lecture's good, it's helpful, but a lot of things are just like life on life, walking with people and learning from them.
Mm-hmm. Well, that kind of takes us to what makes you unique. You have 3 emphasis that you really focus on. Tell us that.
Yeah, we love to talk about the combination that kind of makes us unique, right? And that's the combination of academics, mentoring, and ministry experience. That's academics, mentoring, and ministry experience. So think about academics. We have a great academic program that's run through Grace College and Seminary, right? So all of our faculty, our entire program, all of our classes, those are all run through Grace College and Seminary. So they're really good. They're really legit, like top-notch education. So we have the academic piece, and then we have the mentoring piece. So all of our students that are taking those classes, they're also working like one-on-one with a mentor to help them develop in like their character and godliness, and also learn some ministry things. And so we have the academics, we have the mentoring, and then we also have the ministry experience. So our students aren't just learning in the classroom. They're taking what they learn and they're putting it into practice right away. Right after they learn it, they're taking it and they're putting it into practice in different ministry experiences. And I think the traditional way of thinking, like when you look kind of at the past and the way we're educating students for ministry, is we would have them go and they would get their undergrad in Bible or theology, and they would move on and get their seminary degree. So they had all of this education with very little experience, and then when they had their seminary degree, then they would go out and actually start doing ministry, right?
Right.
We're kind of taking a little bit different approach, and we're saying, we want students, as soon as they're working on their undergrad degree and learning and taking these Bible classes, we want them to like hit the ministry ground running and like get all that experience from day one and see what it's like. So then they can take what they learn in the classroom and put it like into practice in real-time ministry experience in their local churches and
yes,
things
because
like that.
It's a terrible time after you've finished all of that education to get in front of a congregation and decide this isn't exactly what I'm being called to do.
Absolutely, yep. So for us, we have interns that are doing all kinds of different ministry experiences, and some of them are in the Grace College program, and more will keep coming through that program, and we'll hire them as interns in different places of our church. So for example, in our Medina East campus, one of my buddies named Clark, and he's one of our interns. He's a resident intern, and he actually preaches in the weekend services already. And it's not a small church. It's a church of about 1,000 people.
Wow!
And he's already preaching in the weekends there.
And he's feeling comfortable.
He's
with
an intern. Yeah, he's doing great. He's doing phenomenal. And then we have students doing that. We have students helping with youth ministry, children's ministry, our creative arts ministry, like worship ministry. We have interns all over the place at all of our different campuses, just jumping into ministry.
The terminology, I want to make sure I've got correct. When a student is going through this, and they are doing internships for you, but that is where you are placing them into all these great experiences.
That's part of it. So the college and the internship program is separate, right?
All right.
So a lot of our students that are in the college program are also interns, right? But it's a separate process. But even for students that aren't interns, there's still tons and tons of different ministry experiences out there.
Is every student doing some kind of ministry early on?
Correct. Yep. Yeah, and actually there's classes they wouldn't be able to pass. We have ministry leadership seminars we're going to be offering every summer, and students actually couldn't pass those classes without doing the ministry experience because the bulk of their grade in those classes is actually going to come from mentoring and ministry experiences.
What do you hear from the people who are receiving your students as interns or having those experiences?
Yeah, they're loving it. So we have interns, I believe, right now at all of our campuses of Grace Church. So right now we have our Norton campus is our first campus. And then we've had a Bath campus for quite a few years now. We have a Medina East campus. We have a Barberton campus. And then just 2 weeks ago, we launched an Ellet campus. And then coming up in the fall, we're actually going to launch a campus in Atlanta, which we're really, really excited about. And we're trying to figure out how that works. You know what I mean?
So Grace College and Seminary is launching these, or your Grace?
The churches,
Grace Church is.
Yeah, so we have these.
Those are out of state, some of them.
One of them so far, yep. Yeah, so we have campuses all over the place. And our vision at Grace Church is to have 30 campuses in 30 years.
Not necessarily in Ohio.
Yeah, wherever God kind of leads us. We really do, wait till God opens the door and then we kind of walk through that door. We're not trying to force anything. We're just trying to be faithful with the opportunities He's given us. So what we're doing, the reason we started the program and reached out to Grace College is we want to really desperately prepare students for ministry. And we found the biggest thing that's the biggest hurdle to starting new campuses is leadership, right? So that's why we started the program, so we can develop leaders for the future, like growth of Grace Church and God's kingdom, and then even churches here locally that are looking for pastors and leaders, and then even across the globe, missionaries and church planners all over the place. So
it's almost like an apprenticeship
absolutely,
program.
yeah.
It sounds like.
You got it.
So, got to ask, why Atlanta? Where did that come from?
Well, we actually have a partner in our network that I talked about earlier. We have a partner called Encompass World Partners, and they're also in our kind of Grace Brethren network. And they're located there because where it is in Atlanta is one of the most diverse places in the U.S. And so future missionaries will go there for trainings, and they'll do a lot of their training in the local area of Atlanta there. So they've been there for a few years now, and they actually reached out to us and asked us if we would send a church planting team to Atlanta. So
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So God really just kind of opened that door for us.
Well, let's take each of these. So those are the ministry experiences, and just, you name it, you've got the opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the mentoring idea and that idea of an accountability partner, basically, early in life. Talk about those relationships and the importance of them.
Yeah, I think they're huge. So you have a student who's taking academic classes, and they're learning from their professors and their instructors, right? And they're learning kind of like the academic side. And then they're going out and putting into practice with ministry, but they also need that mentoring relationship. So someone they can talk to about their ministry experiences and talk to about like their academic pursuits, right? And so for our students, it looks different. We don't take all of our students and put them on a list and then get a list of mentors and then just connect them together. We'll definitely help students that are looking for a mentor find that mentor. But we kind of approach it from like a very organic perspective, right? So students who they need to develop in character and things like that. We're gonna try and help connect them to a mentor who's gonna help them in that way. And so some godly man or woman who's walked with God for many, many years is gonna be walking alongside this student and having those conversations with them and just helping them out with life. And then we also have mentors that are focused a little more on like the ministry side of things, right? So our students that are really like diving into ministry, so our student that I was talking about out at Medina East that's preaching, he's working with the campus pastor there to develop in preaching and like learn that skill set and like sharpen his gifting.
So does that relationship come to an end at graduation, or do you anticipate that will go on for lifetime?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say for sure with every single case, but I would imagine it's going to go on for a lifetime. Because once you've invested in somebody at that level, and on the receiving end of the mentoring, you've learned at that level, you just create a long-lasting, probably lifelong relationship most of the time.
And you're seeing those kinds of relationships and bonds taking place. I'm wondering what happens, though, when you've got a faculty member that is mentoring so many people. Perhaps some of the mentees could step in and help as well, or are these only faculty members that are mentoring?
Yeah, and it's actually not. There are some faculty members who do mentoring.
So alumni could as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So I teach and I also do some mentoring, but we also have a lot of local pastors who do mentoring, students that aren't from Grace Church. We have students that aren't from Grace Church. They're being mentored by their local pastors and leaders, and we have, all kinds of students at Grace Church being mentored by all kinds of different people. So it's
very early on, but you got any neat stories about a pair that have had an exceptionally cool experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. When you ask me about stories, there's a lot of them, and I think I kind of look at it in a broader sense of Grace Church because the Grace College program is very new. But yeah, just thinking of our interns and just all of the different experience they're having, right? Like we have an intern out at our Barberton campus, my buddy Tyler, and he's been around for a while, and he's leading the entire children's ministry at our Barberton campus.
Wow.
And then we have another intern named Josiah Rios who's out there, and at Barberton he's leading the entire youth ministry there. And then I talked about Clark out of Medina. He's preaching on the weekends. We have interns doing announcements. We have interns leading the worship service at a very large gathering of people. So it's just really, really exciting.
Very, very cool experience. Academics, then, of course.
Yeah.
Where's the faculty come from?
Yeah.
What is your curriculum? We're interested in this.
Yeah, good question. So the faculty come from a variety of different places. So of course, we have some of our pastors and leaders from Grace Church teaching the program, but we also have, pastors and leaders from different organizations and different churches. So if you're familiar with Cauga Valley Christian Academy, a lot of people call it CVCA.
Right.
They're a school up in the Cauga Valley, a little north, and we have teachers from there that are teaching some of our gen ed classes, teaching some of our Bible classes, and even teaching some of our theology classes. Actually, their headmaster even teaches some classes for us.
Very cool.
Yep.
We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
Be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.